Okay, you guys. Hey, welcome to tonight's live, day 19 of the Delphi trial. And Melissa's going to join me tonight here. I'm just so glad that the night's over with. No more 12 to 8 shifts. Tomorrow off, next day off. But tomorrow we're going to be on the Drunk Turkey Show, me and Alexa. Just a reminder, I think it's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. But I don't think Daniel has sent me the link or anything for it yet, but I'll stream it from the channel as well. Anyways, welcome, Melissa, again.
Hey.
Hey, yeah. I was just going to do the live, and Melissa, she'd answered me back. So I was like, hey, you want to come up here with me? And she graciously said yes again. So I was like, yeah, two peas in a pod here. So thank you again, Melissa, and everybody that's coming in. I know it's really late in the Eastern time. Yeah. How's your day been?
Long.
What
Too long.
were you doing today? Like, what were you? What were you basically doing today? Looking at Delphi stuff, cleaning, what?
I did some cleaning and then I went and got my hair done and did some shopping and just everyday stuff that needed done that I've been neglecting because I was in Delphi. Of course, then I'll be neglecting it tomorrow because I'm going to try to go back to Delphi for the day. So
Were you in
we'll see
Delphi
how that
today?
works. No, I'm hoping to go back tomorrow. So
Okay, I didn't realize that. I wasn't sure if you were saying that or not. I don't know. They changed these preset buttons, and I don't know why it keeps changing back, but whatever. Um. Anyways, Todd. Uh. All good, right? Todd, I already know you're an obnoxious jerk. You know, then maybe that was just a bit of an enhanced one on there. But at the end of the day, it's kind of Todd. Your thinking is very much, like I said, on par with how I think and feel about this case and where we're at and stuff like that. So all good. Not my fault you can't handle your booze good. Hi, Amy. Hi, Ben. How are you? Lizette's in the house. Thank you, guys. Thank you, mods. Thank you, guys, for everything you do. Let's see here. Streamlabs is in the house. Know how to use your punctuation, or Streamlabs will tell you you're trying to post the link. So yes, please hit the like and share if you could. Hi, Sharon Parker on there. And so whoever comes in, comes in. Hi, Allison. The thumbnail is up, Sunny. What does that mean? The thumbnail is up. What does that mean? Tell me what that means, Ben. The thumbnail is up. Yeah. Don't hurt my brain. Tell me what that means. Hi, Carrie. Hi, PJ Second Chance. On there. Oh, for the drunk turkey. See on there. Okay. I haven't seen it from him yet. I'll deal with that stuff later. Okay. Um, oh, because yeah, he was gonna send me the link, I guess, but I can go over and grab it or whatever. Anyway, so I figured what we do. Um, well, in a second we'll see if Melissa has anything to do say before we get started here. But we're gonna watch the WTHR like I like to do a lot. Is watch like when they put the whole compilation of the day together and go through it and discuss it. Melissa, how are you feeling right now with regards to the jury now in deliberation for this huge case that's been a long time coming? How are you feeling right now with it? And how are you guys feeling in the chat as well? Are you feeling anxious? Are you fine? Going to be fine? Like, obviously, we have to be fine with whatever the outcome is, in a sense. Well, we don't have to be fine with it, but obviously, it will be what it will be. But how are you feeling?
I mean, I feel for the jury. They've had to sit through this for almost a month now. And I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. But I've got to have faith that whatever decision they come to is the right one. Whether or not we end up agreeing with it or not,
Right.
that's on them. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think they've had a lot to take in. The only thing that gets me, they went to the jury and they were supposed to deliberate from till 4 o'clock today, and they left around 3:30. And I'm hoping that isn't we already have our decision. I'm hoping that was we picked our foreman. Now let's go home and sleep for the night and start.
Oh, your mic's cutting in and out.
Oh
You
no!
were, yeah, you were fine for a second, but then all of a sudden it got all muffly on there. Let's see it. We'll see
Is
how
that
it
any
goes.
better?
Well, it was better originally, so we'll see how if it cuts in and out again. Also very anxious, curious of public of opinion says, my heart says guilty, but my head says acquittal. Right? You know, is it Kate? Let me ask you. I know there's not a lot of people in chat right now. There's like 41 people in the chat. Does anyone in this live think that Richard Allen is innocent? Is there any? Well, hold on. Let me see if there's somebody on the poll that said innocent. 32% are saying innocent, actually. So,
I put innocent, but do you mean factually innocent or innocent as in they're going to find him not guilty? Because to me, those are two different things.
yeah, no, innocent as if that's what the jury is going to decide.
Then yeah, I put innocent. Yeah.
Mhm. My heart says guilty. Sharon Parker says. Robert says, remember, as long as they are all together, they can discuss the case outside the courtroom, but with documents. Mm. Yeah, they can't see their families. They can't use computers. Um, just have to, grind it and figure it out and see what they come back with. Remember last night I brought up the sister that dropped off the girls, Kelsey German? Just a conspiracy. Um,
Kelsey didn't do it. I'm sorry. Anybody that says otherwise does not know this case. Kelsey did not hurt her sister.
yeah. Is that what you mean by that, Carrie? It's definitely not a conspiracy at all. Um, yeah. There's like not even a droplet of air that thinks it's a conspiracy of any kind. Hi, Freckle Joy. I haven't been convinced he is guilty on there. Yeah. I'm convinced he's guilty. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I mean, honestly. Um, I did listen to Hidden True Crime, and her and her husband John, Dr. John, talking and stuff like that. You know, for me, it's about common sense. Uh, like kind of like Dr. John said. You know, usually they're lucky if they get one confession. Here we got 61 confessions plus, and right when someone confesses 61 times, and people don't deem that as evidence, I think that is kind of crazy in my eyes. You know, there's truth to these confessions. Even within the lies the truth. But for someone to literally commit, we'll get into that part of it because again, we each have our own thoughts on it, and I'm certainly going to say mine tonight, and same with Melissa and you guys as well. Whatever your thoughts are, absolutely. Okay. Hard to guess what they'll decide. Uh, Friends, hey, Lacey, how are you? My heart says innocent, my head says, oh, I think I was already there. Um, Someone just said, there is a video I found on YouTube from 2019 where Alan Bankpool and everyone at the bar looked like the BG. Oh, yeah, I've seen that video multiple times. That's where he's dancing like a special ed over there, where he's doing that little hippity hop dance. But anyways, yeah. Um,
Fun
Again,
fact, Sonny, that bar is now a Mexican restaurant
is
that
that what
has
it
really good food.
is? Hmm. That's me too, Tani. I'm putting the faith in the system. It's not my system because I'm Canada. It's your system, but I'm putting my faith in your system over there, and that for the sake of the girls and justice for Libby that took that video, that the justice will get served. Don't know, but I got to stick with. I got to stick with regardless if my heart might be second guessing itself and whatever in my head. I have to stick with what I believe to be true. That at the end of the day, if they peel back the onion layers and look exactly at all the facts and evidence, right? Some people keep going that there's no evidence on this case. That absolutely is wrong with the prosecution. They might have fudged the fucking case up a lot, but there's evidence, and those evidence are Richard Allen and his confessions. That's evidence. The evidence is Richard Allen placing himself there at the bridge and self-reporting. That's evidence. The rest of it can all get tied in together for the fact of creating a reasonable, common sense timeline that makes sense according to a van. And Gray Hughes, oh my God, that guy makes me want to spew up my freaking cookies. Honestly, I was seeing him in Hidden True Crimes chat. Such an ass kisser. That guy makes me puke. Whatever. I digress on that. But anyways, he's literally like, people are attacking me for saying that I had this information back in, March and shit like that. Like if that guy could stroke his ego, honestly, every day, that guy, it's just like I'm the one that said it was a white van, really, because back then it wasn't like it was, like this white van of, Brad Weber's and all of them were like knew that Richard Allen had seen this. But it's not like, do you know how many things were said about this case beyond like just really ridiculous? I mean, we could have said probably the red Jeep and all that, and one of those would have appeared, like the PT Cruiser and different things. Anyway, uh, all I know is, like, if anyone wants to stroke their freaking ego, to be like, I'm the one here. I freaking cannot stand narcissistic people. They just drive me absolutely bonkers. Anyways, fuck him and let's move on. Wonder what he's gonna do when Delphi is over. He's gonna ride it for another 5 years, take all that money for the charities. No one ever described two men different. All saw what happened to BRA. He didn't even say he saw another man in the area. Hmm. Right. I mean, well, no one ever described two different men. Well, that's really not kind of true, because obviously Betsy Belair said he was like 20ish and young, right? So it's things like that that we'll get back into and stuff. Okay, thank you. No, the case is not a conspiracy. I know that. Respect to Abby&Libby in the family. I was just curious because people are coming out with their thoughts. So I was just curious on your thoughts. Well, all I can say is that there's people that have normal thoughts, and then there's people that have twisted thoughts that are beyond comprehension to me. I can understand looking at something, but Brad Weber clocks out at, for instance, let's take this 2:02. How is he on the bridge at 2:13? Right? Unless there's people out there that will go, well, that's just a conspiracy. They were just put on the bridge. They really weren't on it and stuff like that. Or I didn't see the BG in the video. Right. And it's those nimwits that don't follow the case properly that sit there and go, I didn't see nothing. I didn't see nothing. But it's those ones that don't even really like know the case that are just like, oh, so now we're going to start that shit about not seeing a BG on the video. And then all those conspiracy theorists will come out of the woodwork. Anyways, whatever, right? I mean, they do them, we do us. Hey, it's been discovered that the crime scene pics are shared on a different platform. Please report if you see them. It's beyond, oh, that's disgusting if people are doing that. Hi, Gibbo, how are you? That was a different video. Well, no, there's two different videos of playing pool. I was going to say that, but I kind of stopped it, just thinking, okay. But I probably should have said that when I seen it. Yeah, there was two different pool videos. There's the one where he's with his wife there and he's playing pool, and then there's the other one where he's at the whatever the other, maybe it's a different video, maybe it's the same bar but just different video, because the other one is more in an upright, like whatever you want to call that, portrait, whereas then there's the one where let me ask you for this, Melissa, do you think Richard Allen is a sociopath or a psychopath, or neither?
I don't know. I don't want to venture a guess on that one.
Yeah,
I don't
I'd
think
say
he's a
sociopath if I was
psychopath
to.
by any means.
No.
If I had to pick
Mm-mm.
one or the other, maybe a sociopath, but I wouldn't even really go that far.
Yeah. Um, I if I'd pick the sociopath, I would never pick the psychopath for him. I don't feel like he's this soulless personality. I feel like he's like a needy motherfucker, perhaps. Like like the independent personality disorder type of thing. That I would agree with, right? Anyone that literally comes out saying, "Will you still love me even if I tell you I did it?" Like I mean, I said that right when we heard that. And it's just because you try to equate it with just things in your own life, like um because or the people that you've been around that are really needy, and they just like attach. But anyways, um usually someone that says something like that is because they just simply need affirmation, right? Even if I tell you I did it, will you still love me? That seemed to be one of his
Yeah.
biggest things, that he was afraid of, that the people he loved that found out that that they would stop caring about him, because obviously in his head he's worried about that, right? Because he has a wife and stuff like that. Okay.
I mean, my brother is a psychopath, so I wouldn't put him in that category. And I
Right.
would honestly have to look up the traits of a sociopath because I don't even remember what they
Well,
are.
basically, a sociopath has, or a psychopath has no remorse for the psychopath. They have no remorse whatsoever, in a sense. So it's almost like about like trying to talk to something that's not there. You're talking to a stone, pretty much, right? They don't give a shit one way or the other. The only thing they care about is really their feelings, and if whatever sickness they get out of the crime, but they don't care about, oh, like, I'm so sorry to the family. To me, that's not Richard Allen. To me, Richard Allen is someone, to me, that I personally feel that does have guilt, that does have remorse. Um, I think that, like I said, things got crossed and is wired there at some points and stuff like that, for sure. But I wouldn't say he's emotionless person, for sure. I watched the way he kissed his wife on the video. She didn't go to him; he went to her, gave her a nice little kissy and stuff like that. He One of the things that he said actually was how much his wife has made him like a better person, in a sense, like changed him. And I can see that, right? I can see that. When you have a good person that's standing by your side, that pretty much worships the ground that you walk on, in a sense, right? It's like that's her husband. She's there. Like, what do us typical mother figures do? Where they're freaking the ones that are always there, going, there, everything's going to be all right, giving that emotional support that they need. You can do it, husband, blah, 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 blah. Um, so, yeah. So, yeah, I just don't see him as a psychopath at all. I know that I think you said that, Alexa, and hey, Alexa. Um, but nah, like I said, I don't think he's a psychopath. And even actually, that Dr. John said he just doesn't think he's a psychopath too. And that's what I mean by, you can have these people that are, say, well, I mean, at the end of the day, Dr. John is, I think, like in psychiatry or whatever he's in, or something like that. So, whatever he is. Um, so it's kind of one of those things, is that you can watch 10 different channels with the same people that are in those same positions, and it could be like a 50-50 split or whatever, or not like that, because everyone interprets it differently. But I don't think with Richard Allen I would deem him myself as a psychopath at all. I just see too many emotions of someone that I see remorse with Richard Allen, to be honest with you. You know, yes, I wonder. I truly wonder, though, if that whole saying he cheated was like, why would you admit to something like that? Like, why would you say that? But anyways, you know what? Um, Melissa, is there anything you say before start playing the video?
Okay, so I just looked up the definition of sociopath, and it says someone with antisocial personality disorder, a chronic mental health condition that involves disregard for rights and feelings of of others. So I wouldn't even say he's a sociopath because it's like the exact opposite. He cares exactly what others think of him and
Mm-hmm.
how he's perceived.
Yeah,
So
I get
I would say neither of those
no,
describe him.
and maybe not. Because you like throughout the thing, and again, my opinion could be totally different than anybody else's, but again, one of my things is about feeling people's vibes and shit like that, and for my own personal opinion, yeah, he's a very dependent, needy person, and he needs that admiration and affirmation. Uh, it's like that's what seems to fill him is getting that just from that. It's just when you listen to the confessions, you seeing what he said and stuff like that, hearing what the people have been reporting on, how it's kind of been going with him. But I just take him from anything that I've heard personally. It's definitely somebody that lacks security. Like they're very insecure and they need people to fill those voids for them for something that's missing in their life. And so that's what I see, because nobody says, I'm sorry, but like, right, you try to look at common sense, because nobody says, are you gonna still love me even like I think I did it then? Are you still gonna love me? And it's like, yes, we'll still love you. Oh, okay then. Thank you. Are you sure you're gonna still love me? Mm-hmm. That's what I see.
He reminds me of a child when they did something wrong and he's like
I know I
scared to
get
say something
yeah.
because he doesn't want mommy's disapproval.
Yeah. They don't have, yeah. Okay. I thought that RA was guilty because surely there had to be a smoking gun evidence, but then the prosecutors gave us nothing new, no DNA, no witnesses. Um, I'm going to hold my faith. We'll get back into that, but let me start playing out some of this video. Right, we had the prosecution, we had the defense doing their, stuff that they do when they're doing their closing arguments. But let's.
Thanks for inviting us in. This is the Delphi debrief here on WTHR Plus. Tonight, the question of whether Richard Allen killed Abby Williams and Libby German in 2017 is officially in the hands of this jury. In a moment, we'll hear from our WTHR legal analyst, Katie Jackson-Lindsay. But first tonight, let's get right to Delphi, where we find senior investigative reporter Bob Siegel and Emily Longnecker. They heard today's closing arguments from the prosecution and the defense. Bob and Emily?
Hi, Scott. Yep, 17 days, 64 witnesses, almost 800 exhibits presented to the jury throughout the case of 17 days of testimony. And now it's time for the jury to put, in the words of the prosecutor, put all the pieces together. And closing arguments today, it was powerful. We got to hear from both sides, and really their job was to summarize their cases for the jury. And I thought it was effective on the part of both the state and the defense today.
Yeah, some very, very powerful moments, some words that you have to imagine that jury might be thinking about tonight.
Yeah, we heard first from the state, and then we heard from the defense. And between Emily and I, we were kind of laughing earlier, between the two of us, we have 80 pages of notes that we took because they were talking pretty fast. It took a total, it was about an hour that the state presented its closing arguments, and then about an hour and 17 minutes, if my math was correct,
right,
for the defense. So we are going to begin with the state.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, now we're waiting, and we're all in waiting mode now,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Yep.
the jury had a chance to deliberate for a couple hours, we're told, before they went back to the hotel.
Yes.
They'll be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow to continue deliberations. And so we're here waiting, right? The families of Abby and Libby are waiting. The family of Richard Allen
Yes.
is waiting. Richard Allen himself is waiting to learn his fate now in the jury's hands, and really the town of Delphi waiting. And we
Yes.
see that around here. We've seen that this entire trial, right? This town waiting to hear how this is going to go.
And they've been waiting for a very long time. So we want you to hear what the jury heard right before they went into the jury room, the last the last arguments made by both the state and the defense. And Emily, let's start with the state. They went first today.
Yeah, they did. And they told the jury that February 13th was a day this community will never forget, that these girls went to the trail for a walk and they never returned. Nick McClellan talked about before they went on the walk, it was just a normal day. They were playing with a puppy that Libby had gotten before Christmas. And the last thing that Libby said to her grandmother was, "Grandma, I'll be okay." We know that her grandma said, "You might want to take a jacket when you go out on that trail." Right. And she told her "Grandma, I will be okay." Then we heard details about the day. The girls went missing, family looking for them after they were dropped off when they weren't there to meet Libby's dad, Derek, who was supposed to pick them up. And then we heard about the search for the girls from the fire department and finding the bodies. And Nick McClellan, reminding the jury that these searchers, they went out there and they were looking for two girls that day, that nobody thought anything bad had happened to Abby Williams and Libby German, that a small community, this kind of thing doesn't happen in a small community, in a place like Delphi. And then he brought up a picture of the crime scene, saying their necks were cut, and warning the jury, this next picture is hard to see, but this is what they saw. And that is when we saw that picture of the crime scene.
And I thought it was interesting that he chose, very intentionally, he had a choice during closing arguments whether to show these gory crime scene photos again. Right. He chose to show the jury those photos again with the families right there in the courtroom. They've had to sit through seeing those pictures. This is now the third time that I recall them being shown. So that was an intentional part. Intentional decision on the part of the prosecutor to remind the jury what the scene looked like that day.
The horror of that scene, really.
So after that, the prosecutor showed the jury the famous footage that we refer to as bridge guy footage, and that is video that Libby German shot on her cell phone at 2:13 on the day of the murders. Right. And that video shows Abby Williams walking across the Monon High Bridge, and in the background, you have to look closely, there's an image of a man in what looks like a blue coat and a hat. And the jury again got to see not only that video, but the enhanced video that the state police crime lab had put together. And in that video, you can see Bridge Guy much more closely. You can hear the audio of both the girls, and you can hear the famous line "down the hill." So they got to see that again. And then the prosecutor switched into talking about phone data, and that was to try to pinpoint for the jury again, creating this timeline of the murders. 2:13 is the timestamp on the video that Libby shot 2:13 of Bridge Guy, and 2:32, the movement of Libby's phone. It shows no more movement with the phone at that point. Right. So again, trying to establish that is the very small timeline, the window in which the state believes that these murders took place. And then went through and established the timeline of some of the folks who were on the trail and on the bridge that afternoon that seemed to coincide with that timeline, and asking them what they saw while they were at the bridge that day. And Nick McClellan said, "We know Bridge Guy is the guy in the video who kidnapped and killed Abby and Libby. So if we can determine who Bridge Guy is, we can determine who killed Abby and Libby and who is guilty of felony murder." So again, very chronologically, going from the time that the girls were dropped off the bridge up until the time that they went missing, building the case in a very chronological order for the jury.
Yeah. If we could find Bridge Guy, we could find the killer, was another phrase that was said in a different way. Same thing that you just said. And talking about how they then rediscovered that tip sheet, that file clerk, Kathy Shank, rediscovering that tip sheet where witnesses talked about seeing a guy on the bridge. They find this tip sheet from this guy, Richard Allen, who has the time 1:30 to 3:30 that he says that he was on that bridge and saw three girls. So that tip sheet is rediscovered. And then
5 years later.
5 years later, right. Yep. Let's not forget that. And then Nick McClellan talking about how investigators went back to that Hoosier Harvest Store video. They're watching the video to see what kind of cars are driving on that road that day. And then they bring in Richard Allen October 13th, and they re-interview him about this case. And he tells them that, yes, he was there. And he also tells them, oh, by the way, I was wearing this blue jacket, right? Yes. A blue jacket, much the same way, a blue jacket that we know Bridge Guy was wearing. And then they say that he was getting a little angry, and we know that they executed a search warrant for his house that same day, October 13th. And Nick McClellan saying, we went to the house, we served the search warrant, we found a gun, a bullet in that memory box, and a blue Carhartt jacket. And Nick McClellan said to the jury, he called it the Bridge Guy starter kit. The Bridge Guy starter kit. Then he talked about that next interview with Richard Allen, October 26th, where they confront him with these ballistic tests,
Yes.
saying this cartridge matches your gun. And Nick McClellan saying at that point, all of the pieces are starting to fall into place. But in that second interview, Richard Allen, telling police, I don't know how that bullet got there.
No explanation.
Had no explanation. And then Nick McClellan pointing to the jury saying, if you look at that interview again, you see the way that he, in Nick McClellan's words, is manipulating his wife, saying, I couldn't have done this. This couldn't be me. But again, Richard Allen in that interview having no explanation of how that bullet that the state is saying matched his gun got there at the scene. And then Nick McClellan telling the jury he racked his gun to intimidate the girls right before he killed them, talking about the bridge that day. And at the end of that October 26th interview, Richard Allen was arrested.
And after that arrest, it was an important moment during closing arguments because the prosecutor said that could have been all we had to present to you, but it's not. Again, basically pointing out some stories from some people who were out on the bridge that day, this cartridge that they found at the crime scene that they say was cycled through Richard Allen's gun, not a tremendous amount of physical evidence.
Right.
And the prosecutor saying that could have been it, but it's not, because once Richard Allen was arrested and went to prison, now all of a sudden they have all these confessions from him. And that's where he pivoted to during the conversation next. They played the confession calls in which Richard Allen said to his wife, I did it. I killed Abby and Libby. His wife says, no, you didn't. He says, yes, I did. And a phone call that he made to his mother also, where he tells his mother, did you hear that I told Kathy that I committed the murders? And his mom says, I just know you don't have it in you to do something like that. And he said, Mom, I wouldn't sit here and tell you I did it if I didn't. One of those moments during the trial that really stood out in my mind, because he sounds very reasoned, and he sounds.
Stop it there. Okay. Is there anything thoughts that you have so far, Melissa?
So yesterday I wrote down what I thought the prosecution and the defense needed to hammer out in their closing arguments. And I wrote, remind the jury that Abby and Libby are the victims. They did it. Hammer home the fact that Bridge Guy is all you have to find him guilty. And I feel like they did that with the whole, if we find Bridge Guy, we find the killer comment. And then I had point out that even without the confessions, that he would be guilty just by being Bridge Guy. And I feel like they kind of hammered home the confessions too. So far, they hammered home everything that I thought they would.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, it's like I said, it's one of those things where from the perspective of following the case, we know so much more in a sense, for sure, than the jury, like meaning because we've looked at everything, the timeline that's come out, the PCA, just everything, right? So all those droplets. So I feel like they definitely didn't hammer home myself. Okay, so as common sense kicks in, right? So starting with point 1, he self-reported himself between 1:30 and 3:30 to be at the Monon High Bridge, and we know that he was on the bridge because he said he was on the bridge. So I don't even want to entertain the defense's time. They didn't even really touch on that too much, besides like, how do we know that's his car? Like, and that his whole timeline was, different. But I don't think that they ever really, went to bring that to the forefront so much, besides just saying that he wasn't there at that time. But I feel like, obviously talking to a dumbass, and I don't care what you guys say, dumbass Doolin, who took the report again, and he said 1:30 to 3:30 for the time he was there. So not getting into the mistake side of it, because we all pretty much know about the mistakes. I felt like that they should have really hammered home more about, look, he self-reported himself on the bridge from 1:30 to 3:30. Okay. So like I said, so are we going to keep giving this guy outs for all these false or confessions that were during this time of psychosis and shit like that? To me, regardless. Okay. I'm going to have my opinion and you guys all are going to have your own. So this is from my point of view. And it's one of those things like, are you really going to sit there and go, oh, well, a couple days after, yeah, I'm just going to self-report myself. And of course, you can look at it, and maybe it's because, as I've said, maybe the wife was saying, hey, like you were there. But I think it's more so the fact that the picture came out, and he was probably shitting bricks when he didn't realize that he was being recorded that day. But the thing is, so I just don't feel like they hammered home, like, look, he said he was on the bridge. He put himself there, not once, but twice. He told two people. Well, was he in a state of psychosis at that point when he did all that as well? Putting himself in that area. Because I know that the defense is going to try to take away from that by going, well, yeah, he might have been there, perhaps around that time, but he wasn't. But even if, like, there's all these other possibilities, but we're trying to use that common sense that is hoping the jury will go, you know what? Okay. So even though they brought in the vehicle searches for that area, it becomes, so he was there, or his vehicle, or a vehicle that looks like his, is traveling on the camera. He makes a comment about that it looked like these girls were siblings, and they actually are siblings. So why would you say that if they didn't all kind of look alike? So was there another three out there that, you know what I mean? So just that little thing right there in itself is like a little attachment to me, because they are siblings, at least three of them, I think it was, out of the four. And and he made that comment. It looked like, like they were siblings and one was babysitting or whatever it was that he said, but close enough, right? I
See,
just
for me, when you're saying that proves more the prosecution timeline, because he wouldn't have known that those
right.
3 or 4 were there. He wouldn't have
Mhm.
known that they looked like siblings unless
Yes.
he's seen them.
Right, exactly it. And that's, and it's those little grains of, salt and stuff like that, regardless, even if people have said, okay, well, he looks like this or that, it's a point of, is that you can't take away from that just because they didn't go, that's Richard Allen, like, because no one said, like, that guy sitting in the court, that's him. Because again, his face had a covering over it, but just that lateral thing of him saying that, and knowing full well he put himself on the trails, and the girls have their timeline. So his timeline that he originally gave falls within exactly when those 4 girls were there. So although we know that people can get things mixed up, and one said blue and one said that, they all said that, yeah, that guy that's right there wearing that stuff, that's the person we see. We didn't know it was, say, Richard Allen, but this is the guy we see. And to someone, they think that he's younger, and maybe one of them in there, who knows, maybe got things mixed up, who knows exactly. But he put himself there. So let's leave him there, because he put himself there between 1:30 and 3:30 during the time that the girls were murdered. Brad Weber, he was at work. He ain't getting home to hop on that bridge with his gun. Okay, that doesn't make sense. So the stuff with Brad Weber, to me, can fuck right off, right? For me personally, like, I don't give a shit that he has a 40 as well. I don't think he has anything to do with the murders whatsoever. Do you think he's literally going to change his story? Like, even if he did say something about 3:30 or whatever, bottom line is, to me, what's the probability that Richard Allen says he was spooked by a white van on the private drive, and Brad Weber has the white van? So there's no Brad Weber covering up for Richard, the little Dickie there, right? Meaning, if he was at 3:30, he literally would have just said, no, it was 3:30. So, it could have maybe still blown the timeline, maybe not. But like I said, people have the ability to look back on their phones to see and go back to that date. I don't erase any of my dates. I can sit there and go back years, because I don't erase mine. But anyways, I'm just saying, what is the likelihood? Richard Allen, he talks about ejecting up the top. He's playing around with his gun or whatever, right? We all know that there was a gun that was used to get those girls to go down the hill. He literally says that, and it's right. And so, and again, I don't care at this point what the defense says, like about the whole like, oh, he followed Delphi so closely that pretty much everyone that didn't know about the effing white van, except for Gray Hughes, and probably a couple other people that claim in it. But anyways, regardless, you think that Richard Allen is going to be that one person that saw that somewhere in a pile of discovery and stuff like that? Hell no. It's because he's telling the truth. He's literally trying to confess. And to me, so I just wish that they would have, I just felt like they didn't nail home certain things like that. Like Jerry, he put himself there. He can't take that back. He said it twice, he put himself right there. So then that's when you go into, what are the chances that there's a forward focus on the camera at 127? What's the chances that these girls that he thinks looks like sisters are actually sisters? So that puts them pretty much in that, like, you know what I mean? So I wanted more of like that kind of come out a little bit harder about that
Oh, I
part of
fully
it.
agree with that.
And you
I
guys, sorry, I'm not
fully
really-
agree with that. They should have hammered that more.
Mhm. Yeah, see, I'm not going to sit there and think that he found a little needle in a haystack myself on that one, Ivy. It's if we didn't know about the white van, like we heard about vans and we heard about a ton of shit, okay? And but at the end of the day, were we all focusing on, if we would have known about a white van, right? We would have been like, bingo, and we probably would have thought that Brad Weber had something to do with this as well at the time. But the thing is that was never a focal point. I highly doubt that Richard Allen even read all those papers. I mean, especially if he's in such a state, I doubt it very much that that to me is like that part of it. But the thing is that his words are putting him there at that time, his own words. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He said it. If you said to me, I was there between 1:30 to 3:30 type of thing, right? And I said that twice to you, are you going to sit there and call me a liar and go, well, no, you weren't? Obviously you're going to believe me if I'm saying that. And he didn't realize that there was a picture, a video of him out there. So for him, even though I still don't know why somebody would do that, but I just think that perhaps he just, you know what, he's like, someone's going to recognize me, blah, 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 blah. And he's probably trying to be as truthful, because you can only, right? I mean, you have to hide the truth with your lies as well, in there. But anyways, so this whole backtracking thing from the defense, fuck right off with that. Fuck right off with that shit. Okay? But anyways, so then he talks about the gun and about it ejecting. So, and I disagree with someone that I saw say myself. I'm just disagreeing. I do not believe he had the girls across the creek. It dawned on me that he might have, but he said it only makes sense that if you're trying to SA someone, you ain't dragging their asses across Snow Creek. It's because he was spooked by the van, which made him go by the creek, which is what he said. Because why would you literally have all this open space down there, down the bridge, have all this open space to try to do something? So he would have tried to do it on that side. So I believe absolutely he got spooked by the van, which came around 2:30. And I believe that even if it makes it seem like Brad Weber doesn't know, like, he's backtracking on shit, I actually believe that his van came around the 2:30 area. Like he said, even if it was said differently before, because people change their shit sometimes. But anyways, because that makes sense. It makes sense that they went across the creek because he was spooked, because he would have performed it all right there and then on the other side, but got spooked. So anyways, and then with the phone moving and the headphones set in and out, again, fuck you, defense, and fuck you and that person you paid to tell you that shit, that headphones were plugged in and then unplugged at freaking 5:30, whatever it was, or 10 something at night. And that, because remember, that phone didn't move. That phone did not move. It was underneath of Abby and it did not move, right? So it's just kind of like the bullshit of that whole thing that they're trying to portray, like, oh yeah, the girls were alive. Obviously someone's playing with the phone because some idiot's going to come back while everyone's searching for the girls and sit there and come back and unplug headphones and plug them back in. You honestly think that Abby got up and was like, plug them in and then plug them out
Well,
type of
that's what
thing?
I said. That's what I said when I heard him say it. It's like during that time frame that there were searchers out there. You don't think, I mean, you're not going out there in the dead of night. You're going to have a flashlight to see it, to get the phone and plug something in. You think those searchers wouldn't have seen a flashlight over there and been like, what's going on over there? Nobody else is over there. It just, the whole plugging something into her headphone jack makes no sense to me. None.
Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely. No, and it doesn't make it. But the defense was like, well, basically, like cell phone data is like the ultimate. Okay, I deal with IT shit all day long. Okay, with apps and all the different shit, and we deal with glitches within our own work with glitches all the time. So anyone that sits there and acts like that, like the phone got plugged in and plugged out at that time, data is only as good as it is. Simple as that. It doesn't mean it's 100% accurate. It's to the best of their ability to try to determine something. But, but that was just like, that's just a knee slapper laugh. And I honestly, and Criminal Network, I don't give a shit if you disagree with me or not. You have your opinion. I have my opinion. Just better be respectful if you're saying comments in there, because I ain't playing make-believe. I'm playing with the fact of things that Richard Allen said out of his mouth and stuff like that. We're talking about the facts of what he said. So he's the one that said that. And he happened to have Brad Weber a thing. So maybe you're living in the land of make-believe over there. Anyways, I don't care if you have an opinion. Just don't sit there and try to be a smart ass with your comments. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Anyways. Yeah. I mean, this case I know gets us all heated and stuff like that, and people can believe whatever they want to believe. When it comes to this case, I don't give a shit. This is my platform. I can say a voice, either you can watch it or not, but I respect that people have different opinions other than mine. Doesn't make mine right. It's just my take. And I always try to stick with what's out there, the information, and apply it to common sense and what seems more reasonable than not. And so again, if you have somebody that's doing 61 confessions, right? And someone's going to try to take away from those 61 confessions, like he was just making this shit up, right? Type of thing, like the defense is trying to do, like, again, it will be up to the jury to decide. But anyone with a little bit of common sense knows in 61 confessions that most of what he's saying is actually true. Why? Because again, whatever sick, twisted fantasy he had going on there, he put himself on the bridge. That exact time between when the girls were murdered, he told the story. We pretty much know the story now. At least I do. Besides, we don't know why he placed the twigs that way and the branches that way and stuff like that. I know, of course, the defense is going to try to play off of the fact that, oh, well, this is common knowledge to everyone, right? Does a normal person 61 times, like, I can understand if he had freaking like a taser freaking going on him 24/7, like, tell us the truth. Come on, admit to it, or else we can stop the pain. Come on now. I
don't know why people keep mentioning two certain YouTubers on here.
I'm gonna boot your ass now because you're just a jerk off. So take that. And I'm just gonna block that loser. Okay, I don't got time for that shit. People that fucking come in here, and if you don't go with their opinion, then you're wrong. Go ahead, or then you're.
None of us are saying that he's not guilty. It's a matter of, did the state prove it?
Right.
I mean, I fully believe he's guilty.
Yeah.
I'm just not fully convinced that the state brought their A game.
Yeah. And ain't that the truth right there? Preach it. That's why he's not higher than he is. It took him forever and a day to get his sub count up. I normally don't overly shit on Gray Hughes, but honestly, just he can fuck off with the whole white van shit. It's like someone standing there just going, oh, like, attention, attention. You want to talk about attention seeker right there? Another Richard Allen, little needy boy, in the sense that requires the attention. I called it here first on Gray Hughes. We talked about the white van and there was talk, okay, of a white van and blah 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 blah. But hey, just so you know, you guys, with the freaking bullhorn Betty shit. Anyways, but I think that's where most people are at, especially that watch this channel, is that we believe that he did it, but my thing is this, and that's kind of more what I'm talking about tonight a little bit, is the fact that if the jury has any brain cells there, right, based on the confessions and shit like that, they're going to see that Richard Allen is guilty. And I'm going to hold out hope that the evidence, okay, even if you say that there's not, that the evidence of Richard Allen confessing, plus him saying he was there, and plus, even if people don't want to equate the gun, I don't care. I'm talking about from start to finish, can we make the timeline sensible and use Richard Allen's confessions and stuff like that? I think that I personally feel like the state wouldn't have had such a big case at all if they didn't have these confessions to add to it. Personally, might have, but I don't think so. I feel like it would be so weak. I think that one, to me, I know you felt differently, Melissa, but I'm looking at the whole combo of it. Like, so it's kind of one of those things that's like, people are going, oh my God, the headphones were plugged in, then they weren't. Oh my God, who else could have done it? This is where I'm hoping that the smart jury, right, will be like, okay, what makes sense here? Somebody actually confessing. Kind of like Dr. John said, if you get one confession, you're lucky. You got like 61 confessions. You honestly, and like I even doctor, like a lot of stuff, when I see people that are thinking my same way, it was like, who's going to call their mother? Who's going to call their wife? Who's going to call them and say, you know what, Mom, I did it, if they didn't do it? Are you really going to call your mother and your wife to tell them that you killed these two girls? If you, in fact, that you're so out of touch with your own reality that you're going to literally call up Mommy? No, right? He knows he did it. He just wants to have the security that his family is still going to be there for him and still going to love him, because he didn't obviously wean off his mummy's titty very good. He obviously has some attachment issues going on, but you can tell, like, that's the whole thing. This man is just trying to relieve the pressures of the guilt, right? And that's why, for me, I was like, well, he didn't go down the trails. He went up the hill to 300 there. Like, dude, are you just looking to get caught? It almost seemed like he didn't give a shit or something, but I would really like to know how he was truly dressed, right? It would be different if he was just kind of casually going down like, do, 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 do. But there's a difference if you have blood and stuff all over you. You'd have to be a loon bird to sit there and walk down the street thinking that nobody's going to notice a person that's all muddy and bloody, right? But he said he didn't go on the trails because he didn't want anyone to see him. Obviously, at this point, he'd be hearing people's voices, like Libby, Abby, da-da-da-da-da-da. Probably the phone going off and everything too. Like, shut the fuck up, phone. Da-da-da-da. That one I don't get. She must have had it on mute or her headphones plugged in or something, which would have created it not to be heard. Not sure. They never did say that headphones were found with the phone. But who knows?
They said the exact opposite. They said there were no headphones there. There were no headphones. There were no earbuds. That it was a physical plug-in, not like your earbuds or Bluetooth or whatever. That it was actually a physical plug-in.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes no sense to me. And
no.
I don't know.
You know what?
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And I'll ask you how you feel in a second, and then we'll get back to it. I'm really over this whole fact of poor Richard Allen was fucking tortured in the Westville Correctional Center. Richard Allen would probably have been freaking roadkill if he was not housed for protection. That's what the whole thing was about protecting him so that, one, he didn't harm himself, because obviously whatever. But you guys know how Looney Tune people are, especially over there in the United States, and they freaking just fucking get all crazy about shit with cases. And, like, look at that, the YouTuber family that got shot because of some crazy subscriber and shit like that. But, like, you guys got too many fucktards over there because you guys have a population that's way different than ours. Our crime rate is nothing, right? Because you can't compare it. That is apples to oranges. But you guys got all these fucking loonies that go shoot up shit all day long, schools, and all that postal shit, combine and all that. But it's that. So for Richard Allen, remember the whole thing is that, like that about the bloodthirst, right? Because correct, this case has a lot of crazies that follow it, along with the normal people or decently normal people. But there's a lot of crazed ass people. But they were doing what they felt was best to correct him. Now, and the more I've heard, hey, Richard Allen, you were arrested, dude, because it's more likely than not that you committed these murders. Hence why you were arrested. None of this not guilty type of shit. Okay, that's not really how it works. You're guilty, and then you're found innocent in a court of law. And the reason why you're arrested is because there's probable cause to arrest you. Hence why your ass is in jail or prison. But, from everything. So the defense is trying to make it seem like he had no social interaction at all. That, like this poor victim, this poor innocent victim, Richard Allen, which he's not, this poor innocent victim is somehow just, oh my God, Abby&Libby dead, my, throats, whatever. Poor Richard Allen suffering these breakdowns, whatever. And yet he was offered a TV. He had a freaking pad to talk to his family. Everyone is really saying, and even we heard like a few days ago, he had it actually pretty good, right? He actually probably had it pretty good to what we're led to believe, right? Because people always want to twist shit worse than what it is. Now, I'm not going to say it's great, but you know what? I still feel like they're just playing a lot of that shit up. Somebody has the ability, like I remember, I think it was the warden that said, in fact, we actually went out of our way to do as much as we could for him, because they know typically a person goes to the county jail. So he goes back to the Cass County, swacks his head a few times, threatens to kill guards and whatever, and they're at solitary confinement because he can't talk to anybody and his recreational time is down. So I ain't feeling bad for Richard Allen so much anymore. And do I believe that somebody goes into some sort of psychosis or mental state while they're locked up in bars, regardless of if it's solitary confinement? And I'm not going to deem this as solitary confinement, like he actually just literally could not see people, because that's not true. But I mean, it's one of those things. Do I think that somebody can go into a state of psychosis or something? Absolutely. Can they? Are they going to confess 61 times even when they're not in psychosis and then out of it and in it and out of it? No. That's just way too many for me. Like, there's no. You self-reported yourself at the bridge, dude. You went to work every fucking day. Okay? So yes. Yes, I agree that people can go get into a state. I would probably lose my shit. I'd probably act like I was freaking delirious or whatever, because I'd be having anxiety. I'd be having probably heart palpitations. I would be stressing out, worried about my life, thinking about everything that's going on. Hell yeah, chances are. But did that create him to confess to murders because he was in this so-called state and stuff like that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not even close. No one is going to confess 61 times. Talk to your mom, talk to your wife. And then people try to get him off by saying, well, he was just making all that stuff up. He really didn't do it, but he thought he did. Mommy, will you still love me if I think I did it, mommy? Fuck off. Anyways, that's my thing. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. But that's pretty much the gist of it for me. Defense, good fight. Fuck off with your shit. Okay, prosecution, you fucked this case up beyond belief. But hopefully, these certain things will bring a guilty verdict for Richard Allen with the confessions and them looking at it like from a reasonable point of view. We'll see how much that psychiatrist person or whatever plays a role in all this. Anyways, so regardless, who knows how the jury's going to see it, you know? But all I can say is absolutely, he did it. Fuck off with your lies. Fuck off, defense, with your bullshit. You know it's bullshit. But hey, that's their job. So respect to them for doing their job. You know, they're trying hard to get Richard Allen off. They're trying hard not to make poke holes in everything. You know, will it work? You know, or will it not? You know, did they create enough reasonable doubt to come back with a mistrial? Okay.
And I think they're just focusing on the mental health, because I think that, in their opinion, if they can get where the jury thinks that he's in this psychosis and all these confessions are wrong and false confessions, then there's not enough for the jury to say, yeah, he did it. But for me, there's a difference between solitary confinement and protective custody. To me, it sounds like he was more in a protective custody situation. He had people outside of his cell. He was still able to talk to family, stuff like that. That's PC. Solitary, to me, is when there's nobody there for you to talk to. You don't have a tablet. You don't have access to the outside world whatsoever. You wouldn't be calling mommy and your wife.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, he wasn't in solitary. He was in protective custody. Let's get the terminology right.
Okay,
but I see where they want to say.
You can't.
I see where they want to say solitary.
Yeah, she gets all feisty when I start talking about mental health shit. I don't give a fuck though. Like, not to Ivy Rose, but meaning in general to anybody. Okay, there's no one that's ever gonna make me believe that frickin' he confessed to any shit because he was in this world of psychosis. I believe he was in psychosis at points, but fuck off if those confessions came out of all that shit. He confessed because he did it. You know, he was trying to make peace with himself by confessing. Took on the Lord, took on that, like what typical people do when they usually enter into prison there or jail, and then all of a sudden the Lord starts coming into their life. Why? I feel like he was guilty, but anyways, but I mental health, like as in the whole scope of it, because I'm not in it, I still don't give a shit because everyone has their perspectives, whether it's from my point of view or from somebody that's in mental health, or whether it's from a profiler, right? We all have our points of views because we're all allowed that. But I am not about, like, they're trying to say basically that like all this, that he went into some sort of psychosis and he was false confessing to these murders and stuff like that. Sorry. No, not even fucking remotely likely. Okay. And like he might have sat there and said, you know, banana bread, nut chips, you know, in one of these talkings and stuff like that, you know, because of course, if you're, you know, in one of those states and whatever, fuck, I've been freaking asleep and I talk in my sleep and my husband will say this shit I've said shit out of my mouth that even I woke up to going, what the fuck, from that dream and stuff like that. Or when I've been really sick and I just start uttering stuff, right? But to sit there and think that he didn't know what he was saying, I call bullshit. Bullshit. 1,000 billion% bullshit to that stuff myself, because I can't say that, right?
So I want to address the court of public opinion here.
All right, what did he say?
This is nuts. I have to go. I don't want my state operating gulags without trials. Next thing you know, you will be denying the Holocaust and the existence of Nazi concentration. I can't talk. Concentration
Can
camp.
people not handle adult conversations? I'm sorry.
That is so not anything that.
That's a nutsoid statement. Like, okay, you know, like I know that you've been off on different thing, but can you people not handle conversations, adults, that if you don't like what somebody says, it's like, I gotta go. You know, I can't handle this anymore. but you can't. So you want
What's
people to
Sonny? I
listen?
mean, I think he was in a psychosis state, but I also think, with everything, even if it's a lie, there's a grain of truth. And even though, yeah, some of the admissions were not really,
You know what?
they weren't detailed. The one that was detailed pretty much fit the crime scene. So that confession to me had enough truth in it. But I don't understand.
I just
Because we don't believe all of them, or we're not. I
like
don't understand.
all I'm saying is, again, everyone has got an opinion, but what always gets me is when people get so fucking uppity over their own opinions because they don't like something you're saying because maybe you're not in that field. Maybe you don't know. I'm gonna have the right to say whatever I fucking want. And it pisses me off, honestly, when people get all so fucking uppity, like I gotta go. I can't listen to this because only your opinion is validated, or maybe I'm saying something that you don't like, type of thing. So, it says as fast as you come in, then it's like you're gone because you don't like what's being said. Grow the fuck up, people. Seriously, everyone
And do
has
people not think that the jury's going to go in there and have different opinions and have to talk it out? I mean, I don't.
I know.
We're doing exactly what the jury is going to be doing or will be doing,
Right.
and talking it out, because that's what you have to do to come to a conclusion of what flipping happened. I don't.
It just, like I said, that's like me being like an expert in something, and then I get it, right? So if people are in a certain field, they become like the know-it-alls of that field in a sense because that's their forte, and stuff like that. But come on here, like this is the most ridiculous thing that people are literally trying to justify 61's confessions, that all of that somehow that he was in such a state of psychosis. Okay, grab yourself a fucking brain on this one. 61 confessions, calling his mother, calling whatever. I would, you know what? If someone confessed to me 61 times, what do you think the wife's going to say? Of course you didn't do it, dear. You would never do that, dear. Mommy, dear. You're still going to love me, mommy, dear? Yes, we'll still love you, sweetheart. Don't you worry. There, Ricky Poo. And shit like that. Next, but she's too.
I mean, with all the confessions, even if you throw out the ones where they're so generic of I killed the girls or whatever, the ones where he was specific, I mean, you can't just say none of them are right because he did it 61 times. If he would have had 2 or 3, that's different. But it's like he confessed trying to get out of solitary or out of whatever. It wasn't a psychosis thing where he's just in psychosis, so it was over a 3-month period.
And he put himself at the goddamn bridge freaking 7 years ago, 7.5 years ago. Like I said,
let's hope that the jury can put those two things and keep them separate.
Yeah. Well, though, it's when I feel like people are making an excuse for mental health to why something was done, when in this case, murder, and then trying to justify those 61 confessions away. Like somehow you're not gonna ever, okay? I'm too fucking smart for that shit. You're never gonna convince me that if he has mental health issues, who cares? I don't give a fucking shit. Go fix yourself. Go fucking suck on your mommy's tit for all I care, dude. But do I believe that he was in a state of psychosis that made him confess to all these different things, that made him confess to him being there, that made him confess to seeing girls, that all of a sudden he just miraculously has a gun that's a .40 with a bullet that even if it's fired, might call it a bunch of bullshit, whatever you want. Doesn't matter. The similarities and everything, but it's the confessions. It's him putting himself there at the bridge, and it's the confessions, okay? Because normal people, when they're guilty, in a sense, will do stuff like that. talk to their wife, talk to their mom. The guilt, I'm sure, was astronomical on Rick, to be honest with you. I think that when he went in there for his, when he went in there for his interview, I think that he was like, at that point, he had come to terms with he wasn't going to probably be caught, pretty much. So he just went in there all chill, like, look, you guys fucking are morons. You guys fucking can't even put up a goddamn picture that looks like me, idiots. You think I'm
But
going
I
to
don't think that they were trying to say he was in psychosis when he committed the crimes, only when he confessed.
Right.
Right?
Right. When he confessed.
So for me, and I don't know how else to put this, it would have made more sense for them to try to say that he was in a psychosis moment when he killed the girls than
saying that?
when he confessed.
Who's saying
I mean,
that?
both are bullshit.
Yeah.
If they would have been like, he was in psychosis when he unalived the girls.
He was a sexual predator is what he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But saying that he was in psychosis when he killed the girls, to me, would have more impact than, he was in psychosis when he made 61 confessions.
Yeah.
I think neither one are true. Like, I don't think he was in psychosis when he killed the girls. And I think he confessed because he was over it and wanted something he wanted out of his cell or whatever. But there's just...
You know what? He was probably drinking beer, got a fucking hard on that day, was like, let me just go to the bridge to look at some eye candy, blah, 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 and pull out some some SA shit going on that. I'll never excuse two girls being murdered for such bullshit about his mental health. Fuck off. Anyone, how many people in that jail there, right? How many people have been in actual solitary confinement, not frickin' the pristine solitary confinement? How many people probably have fucking episodes of shit? Probably a ton. Who wouldn't go mentally unstable if you were truly in solitary confinement? But nope, he had his freaking whatever it was, psychologist coming to see him every day. He was given an iPad or whatever it was to talk to his family and all that stuff, So it wasn't like actual solitary confinement as what we would typically see like on a TV. Slam the door, you got no communication with nobody. Anyone would go in any sort of state of, some sort of psychotic episode or something. Who wouldn't? When you're left with your brain being free in the world, that's bad enough. Than being freaking confined to a little fucking thing. But is that going to make you go, oh, you know what? I'm just going to call it like I see it. I guess I killed the girls. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I think I did. And stuff like that. Anyway, you know what? We don't even actually have to go into that too much. Because I think most of us know it's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. And it really just boils down to how will the jury see it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it boils down to. We're not on that jury, so it's just going to depend. And I think I think the linchpin for them is going to be how they view the confessions. And I really do think that's it. And as for Travis, I still think he's guilty. I'm not so sure the state has proved their case. And as for your other comment, yes, there are family that are worried that he's not going to be convicted. I heard it out of their own mouths with my own ears, and it was a conversation I had with them. So, yeah, I mean, there are certain family members that are worried that he's going to be found not guilty.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a reasonable thought. Absolutely. Because we all know all the mess ups. We okay. It's one of those things. Whenever you listen to the prosecution, Melissa, it's kind of like, it's like watching like UFO documentaries and stuff. You watch a UFO documentary and you're like, yeah, those aliens exist. I know that they do. This one was real good. I believe it. And then you watch another episode where they're sitting there saying that they don't exist. And you're like, yeah, you know what? They don't exist. Da-da-da. That's how I feel about this, right? It's one of those things is that, again, you never know how that jury's gonna vote over there, and because that they have screwed up this case so much. But when the defense is putting all their reasonable doubts, I mean, it's not like some of them are horrible reasonable doubts, but it's like that's the job. The Ali allowed them to poke so many holes at the case because that's just exactly all the mistakes that they made. To be honest with you, had the Ali had their shit in a row, ducks in a row, this would have been a slam dunk of guilt, like as close as you can get, if their ducks were in a row from the beginning of this case. But they're not. So it leaves everyone just feeling like, I don't know, because the defense, did a pretty good job at like going, well, hey, I mean, you guys fucked up. Like, we were going to call this guy to stand too, and you guys won't allow it because Brad Weber said 3:30. All those different things are going to play into it, right? I mean, it is true that they're going to sit there and go, well, those three girls, one said she was young, he was young, one did. But again, hopefully, in the whole scheme of things, the big picture of the confessions matching the crime, and the timeline out of his mouth will be enough for a guilty verdict for Richard Allen.
I agree. But I mean, my opinion really hasn't changed as far as how I personally feel. But I do keep flip-flopping on what I think the jury's going to do. I mean,
I'm just going to go get a drink, so you just keep on talking over there, okay?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, Banter Lions. A special prosecutor should have been brought in for this trial. I don't know if I feel like he was saying that about Abby and Libby, or if he was saying that about the three girls, the being older. But I feel like he was saying it about Abby and Libby. And again, that brings it back to, well, if you didn't see them, how can you then turn around and say you thought they were older? It's like two different stories to me when he says that. So, Travis, I had a question for you. And since Sunny's gone, let me ask it. Would it have made more sense for the prosecution to have charged for the murder of one girl, let's say Abby, and then seeing how that went, and if they got a not guilty, sure up their case and charge again for Libby? I know it would have been a little more money, but at this point, if you're going to spend $4 million, let's go ahead. Because I feel like that would have gave them a chance to sure up their case and close these loopholes. Because if he's found not guilty, then double jeopardy attaches and they can't charge him again. But would that even have been a possibility that they could have split the charges? Yes, that person did lie. That was the defense that said let him answer. I don't even know if I explained that what I'm asking right, but is it possible? Because I feel like if they would have charged for Abby, seen how the case went, then they would have known which holes to close up or which bows to tie up and charged again. Because at this point, if it's not guilty, it's not guilty on both. Whereas if you try for one, at least you would have maybe got one conviction.
By the way, Melissa, it was about Abby and Libby. That comment from
Was it?
Richard
Okay.
Allen. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure if it was about the other girls or if it was Abby and Libby, but like I said, that if it was about Abby and Libby, then he can't say in one point that he never seen them, and then 5 minutes later say, well, I thought they were older. Well, which is it, mother flower? Which is it?
Yeah, it was Abby&Libby he was referring to. Just quickly eating a strawberry fritter.
What the heck is a strawberry fritter?
Like an apple turnover?
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing, but
Hmm.
strawberry.
That actually sounds kind of good.
I know. Told my husband, I think I'm going to pretty much eat these all before you even get one. They lied about the juror saying, let him finish his lies. So, her views, it was a female defense attorney that said that or charged him with. Oh, we don't. His name didn't come out of my mouth either. I'll be so glad when Delphi shit's all over. I will not miss most of the freaking people that are associated with Delphi. There's a good core group, but there's a lot of nasty asses for creators, leeches. I'll just be glad when the family has the ability. Well, I hope the family has the ability
Really?
to move on. Eh?
So, Travis, you're saying if they would have brought charges for Abby and not Libby, double jeopardy still would have attached to Libby?
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, there's going to be appeals in this case, no doubt.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Well, it depends what the verdict is, really.
Well, true.
You're right. They'll probably leech on off of it, cause more conspiracies. You know how it goes.
I just wonder what the people are going to do that built their YouTube channels and they've built it on Delphi. What they're going to do when Delphi is over.
I know. That's why
They
I
were the
broke off
ones that were in it for clicks and views.
This is Gaming and Sleuthing. Her name is Melissa. She's she took a lot of sitting for Adam Aspen Connor, sitting there waiting in line. Plus, she has gone in the courtroom how many times? Once or twice?
Twice.
Twice, right? Okay.
Yeah, I went into court twice.
Mm-hmm.
And I can also vouch for how the family feels because I've been there, so I know what they're going through.
So, are you okay? You guys that are in chat and everybody, you guys just tell me just say the day, okay? What day do you think a verdict will come back? It doesn't matter what the verdict is. What day do you guys think a verdict will come back? What do you think,
Saturday.
Melissa?
Saturday.
Yeah. I'm thinking Monday. Unless they want to get the hell out of Dodge and they've reached a conclusion. You guys think Friday? Travis, what do you think? Yeah. Yeah, there's two Gibbos in chat. Saturday noonish. Well, I guess it really depends on if they have to convince anybody. Like, let's say they're all leaning towards guilty, but there's a couple because what's her name? Hidden True Crime said, there was a couple people there that you could almost see were, going more for the defense side and were listening very intently. So could definitely be.
Well, I wasn't there for the prosecution when the prosecution was going. I was only there for the defense part of the defense.
No, Ben.
And that one juror, the bigger guy in the back, I hope he took that many notes during the prosecution part, because if not, he's definitely a defense guy, because he was taking a lot of notes. Yeah. But I say Saturday because I feel like tomorrow they're going to go through the evidence and they're going to look at it and they're going to kind of put a timeline together and they're going to discuss. And then I think Saturday they're going to do a vote and
Yeah.
come to a conclusion in it. But I think tomorrow will mostly be, let's look at the evidence, let's look at all this, let's review this. Because a lot of the videos that they played, you know, they skipped a lot of those videos. And I think the jury, being the smart jury they are, they're going to want to go back and watch the full video.
Mm-hmm. I'm not. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with Monday. Go with my original gut feeling. My kind of gut said possibly Saturday, but I'm just gonna stick with Monday. Yeah, I think it just depends because I feel like that they know that this case is a heavy burden on themselves to get it right, but they have to have the evidence to get it right, of course. You know, like if the evidence is there, but it's not beyond a reasonable doubt that they feel it is. So I don't know. Now I'm getting hungry. Oh yeah, I got a big order coming tomorrow. Oh, can I just say this though? I will just say tomorrow. I think me and my husband owe $369 and some change on our final fucking car payment from 6.5 years ago. $1,000 every month, if not more, because it was bi-weekly. Last payment will go out tomorrow. Well, through the bank. I'll send it. Oh, fuck. You have no idea. Imagine getting $1,000 back into your pocket every month, you know?
Right.
That you, like, yeah. So, hallelujah for that. Then I just have one more year on our consolidation loan from 2020. That one was over 5 years. It was like, I think it was 90,000 and something. Even I don't get it though, because I ended up putting like 25,000, and she still left it the same amount. So that fucked me on that one. But that one's still got another year on it, and that's $575 a month. That's not so bad. But after that, fuck paying back anybody. But anyways, the car one's a huge one because that's literally $1,000 every month, and sometimes it works out that it's like 1,200. Anyways, all I can say is a fucking man. So sick and tired of it on there. So yeah, so me and my husband are going to go to the casino on Saturday. We're going to go have fish and chips and go play a little bit at the casino and just kind of like, you know, celebrate going, fuck you, car, fuck you on there.
Hey, Sonny, in back chat, I sent you something.
Oh, did ya? Do you want me to post that?
You can. I just seen somebody saying that they tried to find me. So.
Oh, okay. Let's see. 1 second. Long time ago. Who has the best fish and chips there? Well, OJ's does, to be honest with you. But the casino was a good, nice runner-up. Theirs is really good as well. I don't play Keno. No, fuck Keno. And if I play anything, it's slots or blackjack. That's it. Slots or blackjack. Blackjack is when I, feel like boring myself for a while, but usually if I have two hands going, but no, I'm just gonna go for the slots, to be honest with you. I used to go in there hardcore, like freaking, with the Texas Hold'em poker shit and stuff like that and whatever. But anyways, we're getting off trail here. Ben, I'm having toast. Okay. Do you want me to play a little bit more of the video? Are you still good, or are you still good, Melissa?
Yeah, I'm still good.
Okay. You eating? Did you hear me say strawberry strudel? And that was it was. What are you eating? Crispers? Hips?
Chocolate, white chocolate covered pretzels.
And they're called hips?
Yeah,
like
flips.
Oh, flips. Look like hips from here. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so we'll play some more of this, guys.
talking to his mother. So
Eat your flips.
they spent a lot of time during closing arguments talking about these confessions, these phone calls, confessions then that were written to the warden at Westville Correctional Facility, confessions that he made to his prison psychologist. And the prosecutor said he was not showing any strange behavior on the day of the confessions that were made. That was a big part of the conversations today, talking about these confessions and reminding the jury by playing the phone calls for them that this is a big part of the evidence that they have against him at this point. And the prosecutor said the phone calls that the jury heard today and previously, he said those were unprovoked of his own free will. And he said some of the confession showed information that only the killer would know. They reminded the jury about information from Indiana State Police Detective Brian Harshman, saying that the voice, keep in mind, Harshman's the guy who has listened to more than 700 phone calls that Richard Allen made from prison, knows that voice well. And he was asked, do you recognize that voice? And he said, yeah, that's the voice on the Bridge Guy video. And he's sure that that voice of Richard Allen is the voice of Bridge Guy. So the prosecutor at that point said, again, now all the pieces are clear, all the pieces are together. And we've got a quote that was toward the end of what he said to the jury here. He said, Richard Allen is Bridge Guy. He kidnapped them and later murdered them. He went on to say he slit their throat. And he said he stole the youth and life away from Abby and Libby. Very poignant moment during the closing arguments from the prosecutor.
And also, when you're talking about all of the details that he was reminding the jury of, Harshman, hearing his voice, saying that was his voice, also reminding them about that van that he told Dr. Monica Walla that he saw right before he was going to rape the girls. He said this in his confession to Dr. Walla. That van scared him, and he went across the creek, and then that's where he killed them. Nick McClellan bringing that up today, saying he gave a detail, that van, that only the killer would know. And then Nick McClellan saying for 5 years he lived amongst us. For 5 years he lived amongst us, working at that CVS down the street.
He did. He ended by asking jurors to find Richard Allen guilty on all 4 counts of murder that he is facing. And again, about 58 minutes he spent speaking with the jury, and then the jurors got a break to kind of catch their breath. Probably a good time for us to catch our breath and send it back to Scott, because we'd love to hear Katie's take on what the prosecutor presented to the jury today.
All right, Bob and Emily, we'll get back to you and hear the defense's closing arguments coming up in a moment. But let me go ahead and reintroduce you again to Katie Jackson-Lindsay, former deputy prosecutor, current criminal defense attorney. She's been with us every night here on the Delphi Debrief on WTHR Plus. All right, let's do it this way. Why don't we talk about the 3 strongest arguments that the state gave in their closing arguments, and then I'm going to ask you for the weaknesses or any holes that the state may have had in their entire case against Richard Allen. So let's start with the 3 biggest things that they have presented during this entire case, including today's closing argument.
Well, I think that he being the prosecutor, actually broke it down into the 3 things once he summarized the story of the day. So he talked about how Richard Allen put himself on that bridge that day, first of all, which is a really strong argument that he puts himself there. There's no question that he was out there. He wasn't somewhere else. He was absolutely out there. Then he talked about how it was Richard Allen's bullet that, according to their analyst, his firearm that matched that bullet that was found out there on the scene. And then he talked about Richard Allen's clothing, how Richard Allen just happened to be out there on the bridge wearing the exact same clothing as the bridge guy. And so when you take those 3 things together, then of course the confessions, I think those were absolutely his strongest arguments, especially really honing in on how those confessions were made without being prompted. They were voluntary. He called his wife up. He called his mom up. No one told him to do that. And it was at a point where their experts say he was not suffering from psychosis.
Okay, so those are the strongest things in your mind about the state's case. What about holes in their case or problems that they didn't solve in this closing arguments?
Sure. Well, I think the first and most glaring is that he comes out the gate and says, Richard Allen is Bridge Guy. We knew that if we found Bridge Guy, we found our killer. Well, the problem is that Bridge Guy does not match the description of Richard Allen. He talked about how all of the witnesses that came before that jury explained that the person that they saw on that bridge that day was the guy in the Bridge Guy video, right? But they also gave descriptions of that person that were not consistent with the physical description of the man that is on trial. And I think that is their biggest challenge by far.
Because remember, those first few witnesses were describing a younger person, maybe in their 20s, taller, muscular, brown, poofy hair. Richard Allen was in his 40s, I think, at that point.
Late 40s,
and
exactly.
He's 5'5", I think, and a little heavier than some of the descriptions that those witnesses gave.
Exactly. And it seems to me that the state has completely ignored that inconsistency in their evidence. I don't think
that they purposely ignored that shit. Why are they going to bring that up? That's what the defense is like. We're the ones that have to tell you that the state is forgetting to tell you this. We're the ones that whatever. I like how they keep talking about that one, but what about the guy? What about the one person that one of the witnesses that said that he had great like gray hair or whatever? What about that one? I like how the defense said that Richard Allen was 5'5". It's almost like, well, it's been said 5'4", it's been said 5'6", but you know what? Let's just call it 5'5". And so the defense went with like 5'5". And the other thing I was going to say is, yeah, my Gibbo, my husband, of course, is British. He's about 20 minutes out of Birmingham, but my husband's mother's other half, Jace, he's from Black Country over there as well. And sometimes he mumbles shit that I don't even know what he's saying because of the accent and stuff like that. Anyways, I'm just going to play a little bit more.
As big of a deal that the eyewitnesses that describe Bridge Guy are not completely consistent in their descriptions, because people will see things differently. But what they are consistent is that their descriptions do not match Richard Allen, the guy that's in the courtroom. And it's also telling that they never had a single one of those witnesses point to Richard Allen and say, that's the guy that I saw. And so I think that's a major hole that they chose to ignore. And I really think that could come back to haunt them.
All right. So throughout the 17 days of this case, we've heard witnesses who have interviewed Richard Allen in prison, the psychologist, the psychiatrist that have been there. But only one, to my recollection, was able to say, after listening to the Bridge Guy video saying down the hill, only one person was able to say, that's the voice of Richard Allen. No one else has said, oh yeah, the guy that we've been talking to, that I've been spending time with, that I've been interviewing, that's the same voice as Bridge Guy.
Exactly. And just as they presented the modified video that had been extrapolated in a way to isolate that voice, just as they had that particular witness listen to that video and then make that determination, they could have done that with any other witness that talked to Richard Allen. They also failed to address the fact that his DNA is not there.
Right. It's not at the crime scene, and the girl's DNA is not on the items retrieved from his home.
And it's his fingerprints aren't there. And so there's this idea that to some extent he was a mastermind who had the time and ability, an opportunity to pull this crime off without leaving any evidence behind. But we also now know that he had mental challenges, cognitive challenges outside of what was caused by being held in those conditions in the prison. And so I think they left a lot on the table. They left a lot unanswered, and they really chose to ignore their bad facts. And that's really not good strategy. You have to put the bad facts out there, and then you have to give the jury an explanation for those bad facts to the extent that you can. And if you can't, you have to say to the jury, we know that these things may not add up for you, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because we have all of this other evidence that goes to the ultimate issue, and that was the killer, Richard Allen.
Melissa, what do you think of that? Because she perfectly said that right there. They really needed to come clean with, here's the bad facts. Exactly. Yes, there was multiple fuck ups along the way. We agree to that. But you know what? The fact is that Richard Allen was on the bridge at that time. He placed himself there. He confessed, I think that they really needed to do that too, instead of avoiding certain things, or even explain, like we said, about, obviously, they definitely cherry picked to make it. And that's why they left so many things out, is because they were cherry picking the stuff that they didn't want the juries to hear. But yet, by the same token, honesty is always the best policy in a sense when it comes to, there's been a lot of mess ups throughout this entire trial, case. But you know what? We know that you'll understand and see that he put himself there at that time. The 3 girls or whatever, 4 girls witnessed him there. Even if they might have said that this one looked like this and whatever, when they saw a picture of him, they said, that's the person we saw. And then obviously through Richard Allen's testimony of confessions, that, you'll come to basically find that Richard Allen is a person that killed, right? But instead they tried to hide all those faux pas and stuff like that. Do you agree, or what do you think?
Yeah, and I agree, but I think also one thing that they should have done, and I mean, I heard that they played the Down the Hill audio again and played a little bit of the initial interview again. But one thing I would have said to the jury is listen to it for yourself. Do you think he sounds like Bridge Guy? And I haven't heard that through the entire trial.
Right.
At some point, I would have thought they would have said that in some shape, form, or manner, but they haven't.
I was gonna say just quickly, Banter Lines, my husband, he wouldn't give two shits about Starmer. He doesn't even give two shits about the freaking Queen or King of England and shit like that. Yeah. So yeah. But absolutely. Like the only time we heard it was with Harshman saying it. You know, he saying that Richard Allen, that's him, that's his voice, you know. But
Yeah, but just having, he said he thought it sounded like him, but I
Yeah.
was surprised that the prosecution,
right,
or even the defense for that matter, wouldn't have said, listen to it for yourself.
well,
What do you think?
I know. You know, I wouldn't, you know, but it won't shock me if the jury does a voice comparison themselves as well, you know, that they don't themselves listen to Down the Hill, and then they go back and listen to Richard Allen's voice and see if it even remotely sounds like him. It won't shock me if they try to,
Why are
do
you
something.
eating fish out of a newspaper?
Oh, yeah, that's the best way. Like Pedro's fish and chips. Freaking, they wrap it up, you know, in a cone, and you stick your fries and your fish and your freaking coleslaw and shit in that newspaper. Yeah, that's a tradition.
I will
Yeah,
have to take your word for that one.
yeah, it's tradition for sure on there. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'll play a little bit more. Anyways, I like what she said.
They did not tie that up in any way.
Okay, so that's Katie's feedback on the state's closing arguments. Let's get back out to Delphi right now, bring Bob and Emily back in, and go ahead and summarize for us the defense team's closing arguments today, because that was as stunning and compelling as the state's closing arguments.
Thank you, Jane.
It was, and I think the defense tried to capitalize on some of those things, many of the things that Katie just talked about. They started off by saying there are four themes here. Defense attorney Brad Rosie, he was the one who presented the closing arguments for the defense. He said the four themes that the jury was going to hear about in closing arguments: one, about a broken timeline; bumbled ballistics, he said; false confessions; and digital forensics and data. And then he threw in a fifth one, he said, and this one's probably the most important. He said that the fifth theme is what the state doesn't want you to hear. Basically, what the defense had to tell jurors. He said time and time and time again, we had to do the state's job by pointing out things that the state should have told you. And then they spent a good portion of the defense's closing argument talking about those things. Some of the things they brought up was, they said, look, the state could have done a height analysis of the guy appearing in the Bridge Guy video, but they didn't do that. And if they had done that, maybe it could have shown that that was a 5'5" person on the bridge, but they chose not to do that, again, presumably because many of the witnesses had reported that the Bridge Guy that they saw was considerably tall or taller. They talked about hours of interviews from early on in the investigation that were lost. They talked about the state came forward with some evidence based on a jury question about how many vehicles are in the Delphi area or in Carroll County that match the description of the vehicle that Richard Allen had that day, captured on some video. And they say the state did not offer all of the information. They kind of cherry picked some of the information that they provided to the jury on that. They said that the state didn't point out the fact that several of the witnesses that they brought forward to talk about seeing Bridge Guy talked about the fact that he was tall, that he was muscular, that he had brown poofy hair. Those are things that the defense had to point out to the jury. And another witness that said that she saw Bridge Guy walking on the side of the road and he was muddy and bloody. Well, the defense pointed out, wait a second. She started off by saying over and over and over again, the person that she saw was muddy. And it wasn't until much later that she changed her story and said that the person that she saw was bloody. So they brought up over and over again inconsistencies and things that they wanted to point out to the jury that the state left out and didn't tell them about. And they said to the jury, Mr. Rosie said to the jury, you are the judge of credibility. You may discount testimony of a witness altogether if you find them not to be credible. And they really kind of pounded away on the fact that there's a whole lot of information here that the state didn't tell you, and that's not a good look.
No, and they also pointed out that the state left out those two interrogations of Richard Allen initially, the October 13th and the October 26th interrogations of Richard Allen, saying the reason why you saw those was because the defense, Mr. Baldwin, we brought them in. And they asked the jury, Mr. Rosie asked the jury to exercise your common sense and judgment. Take a look at those interrogations. Again, sit down, he said, and watch those two statements. How did
Melissa, I do want to ask you about this one. How do you feel about Richard Allen going into his interrogations with the thing that's been said about him acting like it's like, you know, that he's calm and chill? How do you take that? Like, based on the fact that
he got away with it.
Yeah.
But I think what the defense there said, use your common sense during their closing, was kind of a bad idea.
Right. Or that
I mean, that, you know, yeah, and the words matter. I mean, those were very risky choices of things to say, because I just, those were risky.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but those were risky.
Yeah. So you kind of agree with me, like, he was like, well, fuck you guys got two sketches, you guys don't know who the hell it is. Like, at this point, he's been settled with the fact that he hasn't been caught.
Well, I mean, he'd went to him 5 years before, and he'd talked to him, and nothing happened, and
be like,
then all of a sudden he's probably done thinking, well, I done got away with it. So if I deny this long enough, I mean
they should have reiterated in the thing as well, you know, all these phones that Richard Allen had, but
none of them are the 2017 phone.
The phone that's missing is the two, like, just like there's those little key points in there that needed to be brought out, right? Yeah. Because again, it's all those little key things that will make it look at the bigger things as well, you know, even more.
And those little things are going to be the circumstantial little things that add up. Okay, the missing phone. That's the freaking carrot on the snowman nose. Okay,
right.
Where is it? I think they missed a couple opportunities.
I do feel like they definitely missed some opportunities. My back is itchy. I definitely feel like they definitely missed some opportunities that they could have brought home better. So my whole gut feeling on the prosecution was, yeah, okay, they did a decent job. I wouldn't call it outstanding, because I feel like there was things that they could have brought home. They had 2 to 2.5 hours to, you know, bring up their stuff. But I just think that there's some of these key little, like I said, nutmeg things, or whatever you want to call them, little breadcrumbs that could have easily have just reminded the jury. I know that they might see it again, but the thing that you're going to remember most is that closing arguments that they're saying, right?
Yeah, and neither side took the 2.5 hours. Neither side even took 2 hours. I think the prosecution took like an hour, and the defense took like an hour and 17 minutes. You had a whole full another hour and a half. I mean, I would have been really hammering home some more stuff if I had another hour and a half to talk.
Well, there was more stuff to hammer home. Even the rebuttal, there was more stuff probably to hammer home. You know? But
yeah, it's just like,
here's a couple of tidbits. Okay, you guys go adjourn now. We'll see what happens. You know, we've given.
Yeah, I mean, I think the prosecution definitely, recurring theme here, dropped the ball again.
Yeah. You know. So you think Saturday? Huh?
I said, tell them see through.
On there, yeah. be honest with you, I don't feel like I want to play anymore. I'm getting so tired now. It's been like a long week. I'm not. Yeah. Like I'm getting like, as much as I love listening to these things, I just don't feel like I feel like the gist is there. Most people already know what the defense said, this said, stuff like that. Then it's really,
They're getting
it's,
redundant
it,
at this point.
it's just redundant. Yeah. It's really a matter of the jury. It's in the jury's hands. Nothing we can say will change anything besides hoping and praying that Abby and Libby get their justice, that they find that the evidence is enough to say that it's more likely that he did than he didn't. But um, I'm not convinced that it's going to be a guilty verdict, but I would love to hope and pray it will be. I hope that the common sense and the real, just like I said, common sense, right? So hopefully together as a group that they can understand again that one person confessed to 61 times and placed himself there. There's no taking that back. He can try all they want, but they're not going to overlook the fact that he put himself on the bridge at 1:30 to 3:30, exactly during the times that the girls, were murdered.
Well,
Yeah,
Johnny, hopefully that's what we get when we get a verdict, is justice for the girls
yeah.
and their families.
Hey, Frank, when do you think the verdict's going to come in, and what do you think the verdict will be? I'm just my fans right here. I'm gonna wake myself up. Maybe I just need to vape a little bit. Mm, it's probably it. I'll. Yeah, I really suck at trying to get proper rest. To be honest, I'm not really good at going to sleep and then sitting on my iPad for hours on end. Tomorrow, guilty. Good. Yeah, gotta hold out hope there, Frank. Gotta hold out hope for sure. Um, well, it's one of those things. It's kind of like I feel like if it does come back tomorrow, then there's true hope of a guilty verdict. Because usually when they're guilty, they don't usually need too long, like a day and a half type of thing. They don't usually need too long when it's a guilty verdict. But I know
I
that they
think
want.
definitely if they go past Saturday, it's either hung or not guilty. I think tomorrow it would, for me, I'd be surprised if it wasn't guilty if they come back
Yes,
tomorrow.
Lacey.
And Saturday is just kind of a toss up for me.
Yeah,
But I hope that they realize that he is bridge guy. And
yeah,
I mean, I hope. But again, the state missed so many opportunities.
they did. But because I was gonna say, Lacey, yes, it takes one, but meaning basically a judge. If there's a hung jury, like the judge of, or if they can't come to some sort of, you know, uh, like 12 juries going one way, they'll usually try to get the jury to try to come like make a decision. So the longer it takes, the worse it looks. Typically,
And I think we'll know if we'll know, I think, before it's a hung jury, because once they come back and say they're hung,
yeah,
they'll come back into the courtroom. The judge may send them back, but if they come back again, she has to read them. I think it's the Allen rule, and then send them back one more time. And if that happens, then we know they're hung.
yeah.
In
I want the little
my opinion.
pipsqueak to, yeah, do his time. I just want justice for Abby and Libby. Richard Allen killed the girls. Whether the jury finds him guilty or not, Richard Allen killed those girls, and I'm gonna pray that justice will be served correctly. Libby did that. Libby made that video, and I've always said the only reason why I even really followed this case or kept going with it is because Libby made that video, and she was basically, it's like, here's the guy that did it to us, and it was her little piece that she left to find justice for her and Abby. That while they were there.
And she did it
Um,
with her 6 cents. Nothing had
yeah,
happened yet.
Yeah,
She took that video before
exactly.
anything happened just because she had a gut feeling
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
something was off.
Yeah. Yeah. So for Abby and Libby, I want the guilty verdict because Richard Allen did it. Hmm. He said they can send him back as many times as she wants. And thanks, Connie.
And Travis, it's the Allen rule, right? That she has to read about being a hung jury. That'll give us a clue that they're hung before they're actually
And
come out and say it.
you see, Ben, he's giving me bad news. He's like, Sonny, I love you and all, but I don't got time for you and Alexa tomorrow.
How rude.
Rude, right? He's still a great mod, though. Right, Sharon? Sharon's going to watch us. Sharon has time for us, don't you, Sharon? Mm-hmm. What time is it at? I haven't looked yet. I think you said 9 Eastern. Oh, my God.
So you want to hear something funny there, Sonny?
Okay.
So
Funny, Sunny, honey? Yeah.
last week I got a wild hair up my butt.
You got a
And
what?
since I've been watching so many trials, I
What'd you
decided
get?
to go take the practice bar exam,
Mm.
and I passed.
Oh, really?
I was like, oh, wow, okay. Yeah, I got like a 94 on the practice bar exam. I was like, dang.
Is it online? Yeah.
Hmm.
Is it like just like taking a driver's license test before you take the driver's, that type of thing?
Kind of. It was a little more detailed than I thought it was gonna be, but it
Yeah.
was kind of fun to do. I was like, oh,
Yeah. Did it say
maybe
like,
I missed.
are you shady? Yes. Correct. You know?
It was like, I don't know. It gave you like this big long spiel that you had to read, like in English class or whatever. Am I a lawyer? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Not by any means.
She's a wannabe. Wannabe.
Yeah, but I want to be a lawyer.
Yeah. She has her
I
Google.
I was a medic for 8 years.
Yeah.
I've been a corrections officer, and I was a medic for 8 years.
Oh, you were a correctional officer?
Yeah.
Yeah. My older sister, Satan, was too. Hmm.
So,
How'd you like that?
I actually didn't mind it. I worked in the female pod, so I
I was
didn't
going to
mind
say,
it
was
too
it the
well.
female? Yeah.
I didn't have to, in the county I worked in, I didn't have to deal with the men, thank God.
So, how was it dealing with the women?
It was not, I mean, it wasn't bad. They were just annoying, a bunch of little bratty ass bitches.
Yeah. Like, so let me ask you, because we all know that shit goes on in different jails, whatever, throughout jails, prisons, whatever, that people, are slipping money for this or that, and so in that sense, did you guys turn a blind eye to a lot of that shit that you saw going on, or no?
No,
No.
we didn't. We were pretty hard on them about, contraband and different things. And then I was also over the sex offender registry. They'd have to call me and, get permission. And I don't know how many times I was cussed out because I wouldn't let them go to the school and pick up their kid. Well, sorry. You aren't allowed around children. Sorry. I was a hard ass. That's why they didn't like me.
Sorry about that cough there. I was right in your guys' ear. Just came out. See what Ben says? If Alan is
I'll
acquitted,
join you.
Fuck, get over here, Ben. Let's go. Come on. Party at my house. Okay. Well, we'll be fucking.
I would join you if that were the
get
case.
hit face together. Yeah, we'll protest here in Canada. Yeah. We'll have
And I've heard a couple different people say that when I was sitting outside the courthouse and stuff, and they would say, several people, he's not making it off the property if he's acquitted. So he's definitely going to have a police escort back to Napanee.
Oh,
I would assume that he's going back to Napanee. Because that's where his wife is living.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I'll be fucking drinking myself with you, Ben. I'll be drinking my Malibu that I got. And I'll be telling you, I'll be joining you. If he's definitely found guilty, it's gonna be a fucking good day. Good fucking day. The best day is if it happened on the 13th. You know, be fuck you to him. Karma, bitch. Karma. You know,
That'd be a long
hate.
deliberation.
Yeah, I know, right? I
I don't want them to deliberate that long. I want to know
well,
now.
let's pray for tomorrow. Guilty verdict tomorrow. Let's pray for tomorrow. We'll put it out to the
Hopefully.
universe. Yeah, don't let me down, Pendulum. Like, fuck off. Guilty verdict tomorrow, Pendulum. Big circle if yes. Let's see if it's correct. Come on, let's see. Oh, here, let me hold it up higher. Okay, you tell it. Okay, hold on. I know everyone says that you're moving your hand and shit like that, but I swear to God, these things can have a mind of their own. Usually it fucks me
I'll
over.
go get mine and we'll do it at the same time and see.
Yeah.
I don't
Hold on,
even
I
know
gotta
if I've
hold it
got
up
mine
higher.
on me.
I need a big circle. So it's one of those things, like, seriously, this thing can have a mind of its own. Like, sometimes, like, I remember when Blaine, our friend Blaine, overdosed and died, like, not the November that just went by, the other one. But anyways, and this thing, like, you know, it's crazy when you feel the energy sometimes of it. And it's almost like you can feel it, like, lifting itself up. Like, you can just totally feel the energy. And on there, open the window. On there. Oh my goodness. Ben, you're making me yawn. For fuck's sakes. I freaking hate yawning. Anyway.
Yeah, Gold definitely did everything she could to keep this private. That's for sure. And you know, they went from 24 seats for the
Yeah.
public, mostly YouTubers, down to I think
Oh,
16.
yeah, 17. You talking about people let in? Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
17. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
really doing everything
Oh,
she can to keep it private.
oh, go. Yeah. Which reminds me, I need to say this because I forgot. Deb, from Deb's True Crime Notebook. Deb, I hope you feel better. Said she was feeling so sick when she was making her videos and she has the flu or something. Anyways, Deb has been pouring her heart and soul into providing updates every day for the Delphi case in a clear, kind of concise manner of what happened each day. So bless you, Deb, on that. And please feel better. Yeah, it sucks to be her. I told her stop looking at Charmaine and it won't happen. I'm telling you right now. But anyways, yeah. So I just want to say for Deb, healing prayers on you over there. Poor thing. She said she was doing a video and she made it through without upchucking during that one. The one of them.
I hate that for her.
Yeah, I told her. I said, apple cider vinegar for the win. Apple cider vinegar. Telling you, apple cider vinegar, people. Got the hiccups, apple cider vinegar. You got indigestion, apple cider vinegar. Anything to do with your stomach, apple cider vinegar. Just saying. Okay, that's like free knowledge to you guys on that one. You're welcome. Okay, so let's get this party ended. We'll see if we get a party started. Did he do a video tonight? I don't know. I haven't. I was working. Sharon says that Aspen looked awful in his little video tonight. I think that regardless if people are chair sitting or not, that, like, I remember when I had to do 21 days of at the hotel because we got held up and I had to, and you're fucking exhausted and you keep going and you keep going because you just have to, you know? So even for the people that are chair sitting, I can only imagine how exhausted all of them are. Like, no offense to Aspen on this, but to the people that actually do lives every day as well, on top of going to court and whatever, talking about Holy shit. So I absolutely get it that people are probably running on freaking fumes, right? You know? So kudos to everybody that's literally been reporting on it. And I'm going to say this, yeah, reporting on it so that we can get all those tidbits of information like Melissa did with us, those tidbits of information that you wouldn't get unless you were in the courthouse. Those have meant a lot to a lot of us to be able to have that. So very grateful that that's people were able to do that, bring us the information as concise as you guys can to give us that information. Yeah.
I disagree there, Anthony, because the chair sitting, you're switching out one for one pretty
I
much.
disagree as well. If you're,
The
I
people
think
that are going in there need to get sleep so that they can report back, because that's what's making this a public trial.
yeah,
And that's the only thing that is
yeah,
making this a public trial.
I,
So if it
I
takes
disagree as well.
somebody going over there and sitting
Yeah.
so that that person can go in, by all means, do it.
Now, in saying that, I agree with chair sitting, but I don't agree with chair sitting for more than the one person you're chair sitting for, to be honest with you. And like if you have a person for a person to chair sit, but to have someone look after all the chairs for them, like a group of them, then I might not lean so much that way, to be honest, because that it's about being fair to the others as well. So I think chair sitting one for one, you might feel differently on that, Melissa, because I know you sat for a few chairs there, I believe, but I would have, I'd probably wouldn't be so mindful of the fact if someone was sitting for multiple chairs, but just because I just like things to be fair.
Well, mostly what they do or what they were doing, I don't know what they're you were sitting on the ramp there and people would bring in their chairs and just leave them. And then they'd leave.
Right.
Most of them. And so I would keep an eye on multiple different chairs to make sure nobody moved them. And then whoever I was chair sitting for was my main concern. Like when I sat for Aspen was my main concern. When I sat for Lawyer Lee, she was my main concern. I do agree, Anthony. I feel like, those little, like they have them at my vet's office. They used to be at the
little tickets.
B&B. You'd go through and you pull this little ticket. That's totally what they should do if they're going to do it, and then you have to show your ticket each day.
Yeah. Yeah. They should have done something far better than that, than what they did.
Yes. And now they're not even allowing them on the ramp now. They're having to sit out on the road, on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Some people did. There were several news crews that would take up a public space, and they would put down like this little laminated thing that had their group on it. A couple podcasters did that. They would just like lay it in the seat of the chair so you knew whose chair it was.
Right.
Yeah. But that, I tell you what, that last night I sat for Aspen, I about froze to death. It was cold.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
We woke up and we were all covered in frost. Like, that's how bad it was. If you were sleeping in the chair, you were covered in frost when you woke up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was very generous of your time. Very much appreciated. Again, mad respect to all the people that have been covering this case, regardless if they see dollar signs or not from this case. It's anyone that's been reporting it from inside. And, hey, I literally saw a donation, probably for $299 to, she got multiple donations, but Hidden True Crime. I like $299. So it was like one person donated that. You know what? She has done the time. People want to pay, and stuff like that. For all the hard work that these YouTubers and that are doing, that are in there reporting, so be it.
And there are some there are some of them that were actually paying $10 an hour, $20 an hour.
Yeah, for sick.
There was one group that paid like $100 a night
Right.
for people to sit.
Mm.
That's like, no. It's like Aspen had asked me, well, what do I owe you? Nothing. Well, let me buy you food. No, Aspen. Just
Mhm.
go in there.
Right. I know. I'm the same way too.
It's like, you don't owe me nothing. I decided to come up here and do this. You don't owe me anything.
It's a
But there
right,
were
it's a
also a
different
lot of
company's
them that were
Yeah. Go
there
ahead.
were a lot of them that were just in there for clicks, views,
Yeah.
likes.
Yeah.
They weren't in there for justice. They were just in there for
I know.
personal gain.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. But it's one of those things that's out of our control, right?
Yeah.
It's
And
people-
Anthony, there are 7 cameras. There's 2 up by the judge. There's 2 on the prosecution, 2 or 3 on the prosecution side. There's 2 in the back of the courtroom. All cameras that they have, I don't know, they're probably yay big.
Yeah.
Not that big, and they have bags over them. She could have very easily, and they spent like $70,000 on this podium that's got like a computer in it, and the big old screen that they have that's a computer. I mean, they spent a lot of money to be able to make it public, and then she didn't.
Mm-hmm. Funny and stuff. Don't banter lions. Nobody wanted to sit in my dog. So, in my doghouse, Travis, I would have traded mouth, would have had unlimited. So question. So yeah, so you're gonna try to go out there till Delphi. What time are you trying to get there till?
I'm gonna try to get up there somewhere around 1 o'clock,
Yeah.
depending on
happens?
what time I wake up.
At what time again? 1?
Yeah.
What happened if it's all over by 12:59? That'll suck.
Well, then I guess I'm fucked. Drove 3 hours for nothing.
Yeah. Anyways, is there any last thing you wanted to say, Melissa? I did post your link up there, you guys. Melissa, she might get going on her channel of her own, perhaps. But there's her channel if you want to get a head start and subscribe over there. And don't forget, tomorrow night, me and Alexa will be on the Drunk Turkey show. Guess I should probably post. You know what? Type it in yourself. I'm too lazy to do it right now. Drunk Turkey show over there. It's in our description of the video, regardless, on there. But is there anything else you wanted to say before we get going, Melissa?
No. Probably ought to get some sleep.
Yeah, probably. Both of us. I'm fucking tired. I have a doctor's appointment at 2:40 just for my diabetes shit. And my husband, I said, I'm making you an appointment. He's like, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, well, I already did. On there. And then, like I said, Drunk Turkey show tonight or whatever. So anyways, hey, where'd you go? Where'd you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? I've been married.
I'm here.
Mm-hmm. All right. So with that being said, any last comments? Justice for Abby&Libby?
Yep. Simply that. Hopefully justice will be served tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hey, if it comes tomorrow and it's a quick, like I said, if we hear that they've come back, chances are I'm thinking it's going to be a guilty verdict. I'm praying.
Yes, you have to line up for the verdict.
Yeah. Bren, you safe is driving. Where the fuck is Ben going? He's acting like he's busy and shit.
I'll be back in just a minute.
Oh. Well, I guess I'll wait to end the live till she gets back. Ben, where are you going? Coming to Canada? My husband won't mind. Kidding? If it goes past tomorrow. I would say if it goes past Saturday, I'd be worried more so, to be honest. Well, hopefully they're all kind of come to the same conclusion. And they're like, okay, fuck, here you go, guilty. Let's go home. Yay, to our kids, family. I mean, this is a case that's been huge. And it's, they know that the weight is on their shoulders to do the right thing. with what's been presented to them. So, let's just, like I said, hope a guilty verdict comes in. So how long will be in line? Who? She's not going to be standing in line, Travis, if that's what you mean. The lineups are already full for tomorrow for people to get in, both morning and afternoon. But Melissa's not going to stand in line. She's just going to be there, just to be part of the verdict if it comes in tomorrow. Melissa, she's probably taking a piss. Because if it was a smoke, she'd be smoking right now. So she's probably doing a tinky winky or something.
Yes, I was. I had to go.
Yeah.
It was one of those. I wasn't going to hold it much longer.
Oh no, I've been there multiple times. I drink a ton of water of this, my splash, but I drink a ton of water every day, and I'm like my vagina is a toilet. Okay, seriously, this thing is constantly always wanting to go to the bathroom. Like, you have no idea. Every freaking, especially when I'm laying down in bed, I'll get up at least 10 or 15 times every 10, 20 minutes. It's because I just drink too much water. Yeah. And it's like every 20 minutes, I'm like, yeah, you fucking stupid vagina, shut the fuck up already. And I'm like, and then I'll be like,
well, they've got me on Lasix now, so it's like it hits, you gotta go.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
How are you part of the verdict if you're not in line? I'm not gonna be part of the verdict. I'm hoping that I'll be there when the verdict comes in, but I will not. I won't be in court. I asked somebody earlier that was there, and there was already 40 chairs lined up to get in tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's already full. It was full when Hidden True Crime was reporting at the time she was in the afternoon. It was already,
Yeah.
She had a chair sitter for the morning and afternoon. And so, yeah, those spots would have already been taken. Yeah. But anyways, you guys, okay, well, you guys, let's just hope that if jury comes back tomorrow with a guilty verdict, we'll celebrate, we'll fucking rejoice, kiss the freaking floor.
Yeah, if they come back with a guilty verdict, we should do like you should do, not me. You should do like a special, tribute or whatever to Abby and Libby.
Oh, I should I?
Yeah.
You gonna make my video?
I might. Yeah. If I could come up with enough pictures, yes, I would.
Yeah. I already have multiple videos of tributes to them, so.
Oh, well, see, you could just play one that you already have then.
Okay. Hold on. 1 second, I gotta get out of this thing. Let me see if I have one in here right now. Yeah, okay, here we go. 1 second. All right, there you go.
That's not
That was
even
it.
fair. Now I got tears coming out.
I know, right? Is I don't even I'm because when I see that, right, I've made a lot of tribute videos for them throughout the years, but it's like it's my way of saying that I'm thinking about you girls. You know, like I care, and it's just my way of doing something special for them. You know, for me, for them, um, and if other people enjoy it, so be it. But it's just my way, you know, of doing using my creative side and going here, let me make a special little video for the girls, whether it's the birthday or stuff like that. So it's hard, isn't it? It's hard looking at those two beautiful girls. That's why now you're going to make me emotional. That's why this is going to be so hard if it's not a guilty verdict. It's going to be devastating beyond belief, beyond repair, to be honest. And it's because Richard Allen is guilty, you know.
And
And
I
hopefully,
hope that Mike and Becky wear those sweatshirts that say today is the day when
yeah,
the verdict comes in.
I am worried. I don't know. Just pray for justice. I just want Libby to know that her strength of doing that video, you know, just the fact that she even did that video, to me, that's a huge thing for me. It was Libby's way of saying, please bring us our justice. This is the person.
And Libby did what she said she would do. She would she would one day help a police solve a crime. And that's exactly what she did.
Yeah. Some people don't like some of the newcomers um, are only learning that now, whereas people that followed the case knew that Libby wanted to do that. And that's hence why Kelsey has changed right ever since this has happened. That's why she's an advocate now. Thank you guys.
Kelsey
Um,
totally changed her college degree and went for
yeah,
criminal justice.
yeah, yeah. You know, but anyways, yeah. So it will be very hard if we don't hear a guilty verdict. I will feel devastated inside. I'll never get over that if it is because there's no trying him again, right? And
No, there isn't. But, we can take solace even if it is a guilty verdict. He's never going to be able to live this down, ever. Everybody knows who he
you know
is.
what? That's it, right? Is that no matter what, life will go on, no matter what. And my thing is karma's a bitch. If this literally has devastated and will devastate his life for eternity, right? You suffer, you little prick. You know what you did to those girls, and so I want you to pay for it. I don't care how it happens. If so be it, you know. I will not feel bad at all, but I would just like I would, you know how we think that closure, somewhat of closure or next step, is of course being put in prison or sentenced to death or something like that for the crimes that you've committed. So it's kind of like we associate that, of course, with justice. But Richard Allen, his whole family, like I said, they're not going to have a good life in Delphi. They'll need to go fucking hide out somewhere where that people don't know who they are, in a
Well, I
sense. I
mean, the
mean,
parents are still living in Mexico, but I know his wife moved about 2 hours away to Napanee.
mm,
And I know that that's where his daughter lives too, but
yeah.
it's all over there too. I mean, everybody knows who they are.
Yeah. Well, well, that's just it. That's just it. Probably everyone in Indiana knows who they are, um, and because they sold their house, like you know, which I
But
just
did they?
a
Let's just say,
is
but
there
did
something?
they? If you look it up, it never actually sold.
No, thought it did,
Um,
or maybe it didn't. I don't know.
Somebody looked it up and it never actually sold. Like it got taken off the market. So they could have got like an offer for it and then
Yeah.
just didn't, just took it off the market.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
somebody is living there now.
Mm.
But nobody knows who. And yes, Kathy was a vet. She had to leave her practice due to all of this, so
You
her
know,
life.
I do feel horrible for her because, and the family, because, like I said, I can see Kathy's personality. And, she's that person that I don't believe my husband did this. He can confess all he wants, but there's no way that my husband is this evil and would do something like this, type of thing. And whether it's just trying to believe it because you don't want to see another thing to it, but honestly, the whole family's life is pretty much fucked for anyone that knows this case, for a job, like for her for a job and stuff like that. Like, unless you know somebody that is like totally believes in your innocence. And but anyways, their life is pretty much fucked, to be honest with you, in general. But I do really feel bad for the victims and and like Richard Allen, like the wife and stuff like that, because I just always try to put myself in their shoes. And I don't believe she had any clue about Richard Allen, that he would have done this. But I do feel like when she was on the phone, I don't necessarily know that it was so much of, I think part of it was like, you're like, don't say anything. Because she knows, like, you're being recorded, buddy. You're being recorded for whatever you say. I don't think it was like one of those standalones, like, no, you're just making this up in your head. It's not really you. I think it was partial that. And I think the other part was knowing full well that anything is recorded in those prison calls.
And see, that's why I think she just kept telling him to.
Well, that's why his mom said that.
Shut up.
Well, that's exactly like what his mom said. Exactly. And that's the
You're
thing.
being recorded. Shut the hell up.
Yeah. No, she said that she was a vet.
Yeah. She
Whatever.
was a vet.
Yeah.
She was not a tech. She was a vet.
Yeah.
She had her own practice and had to close it down.
Yeah. On there. Anyways, okay, you guys. Let's pray for justice. 11:11. Look at that, Sharon Parker. 11:11. Right. That's when the angels are talking to you. I just say make a wish, but that's when the angels are talking to you, is 11:11. So prayers, we'll leave that there for a second. And so yes, prayers for a quick guilty verdict on Richard Allen. And so we'll see how tomorrow goes. Like I said, I'm going to be doing stuff, but I'm definitely going to be invested. I remember when Barry Morphew was arrested for Suzanne's murder, like when he was first arrested, before they let him off because they didn't have enough until he goes to a retrial. But my phone was freaking blowing up, like, Sonny, get up here, do it live, type of thing. And I'm like, I can't, I couldn't just drop everything that I was doing, because I can't remember what it was, but I know I couldn't just drop what I was doing, and my phone was just blowing up. So we'll see. Maybe I'll wake up to my phone blowing up saying, do it live, Sonny, he's guilty. Yeah, So depending on what time it is, I'll be racing to my computer. Actually, I best probably maybe get a thumbnail ready, eh?
Get one ready for both guilty and not guilty. That way you're already ready.
One with the big says "for fuck's sakes" and the other one being like "woohoo." Anyways, okay, you guys, we're out of here. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please hit that like. Thank you, Melissa, again for staying up late, way past your bedtime.
It is. It's almost 2:30 in the morning.
I know. It's only 11:20 here. Anyways, thanks, mods. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, everybody. And other than that, we'll see you tomorrow. Drunk Turkey Show again. Regardless. All right, let's go. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We are not alone. Within